Hi everyone, it's Marianne for the Crafty Mavens, and today I am doing a page that is inspired by watching a lot of Missy Whitten's videos. She does a lot of mixed media, and when I sat down to scrapbook, I just felt like that's what I wanted to do, some mixed media. So I had prepped a piece of white cardstock with some white gesso and let it dry. So my surface is ready to accept whatever kind of mixed media I'm going to do. And I had picked a photo of my daughter and her friend in a kayak, and one of the primary colors was that stood out was yellow. So I knew I wanted to do something yellow. So for some reason I decided I wanted to play with my gelatos. Not really sure why I did that. They were like far away. They were in the basement. I had to go get them. And once I started to use them, I was like, why did I want to use these gelatos again? I have a ton of like distress ink oxides I could have used. But anyway, here I am with the gelatos. So I mixed them. I cut some, which I probably didn't need to do, and then mix them with water. And what I really should have done to begin with is just colored them on my paper and spritz some water with it. I think I do that in a few minutes, but right now I guess I'm just playing with it. I always feel like when I start going with it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really ugly. I'm not going to like this. All right, well, I'll just keep going and see what happens. And I can always cover it up with some paper. So that's what was going on here, actually. And I was thinking it's going to be really ugly. That yellow was kind of looking like a yellow kind of liquid that maybe you don't want on your page. But I kept going, and in the end, you know what? It really looked good. I'm glad I used the gelatos. I probably won't use them again for a long time. I would much rather use Distress Oxide inks. I think that's where I'm at with this. So I'm just using water, my paintbrush, some gelatos, and then I did take out orange because I thought maybe I wanted to mix in a different color. But once I got going with this, I thought, you know what, a few different tones of the yellow would be fine. And I did some packaging technique, and then I let some drip onto the paper. So I think I'm just going to either put this to the side and let it dry. Yeah, that's what I did. So you see the photo there. It definitely has some yellow in it, some red, and some blue. So those are the colors I'm going to focus on. And I also had stickers from their Thickers, phrase stickers by Thickers, and they're from Amy Tangerine. And they kind of have a ombre look to them. So I also had decided that I wanted to use those. So those are off to the side right now, but those are also a driving force for this layout. I went looking through my stash, and I found these two pattern papers by Chamel. So, I really like the way that one looks. I'm going to use that big stripe, multicolored stripe. And then I just found that dark blue. I like that. And I'm not sure if I used that yellow one or not, that solid yellow. So far I'm going to like the way that looks. And see, once you cover up a lot of the mixed media, then it looks much better. I still like the way it looks, though. I think it mimics kind of the feeling of being out on the water. So there are those Thickers. I just showed them for a second. That's really, when I saw this in my stash, I was like, oh, you know what? I bought these. I loved them. I haven't used them. So it was definitely time. So I'm going to pick one that I think I want to use, but it's just not going to fit with the layout, and then I end up using a different one instead. So it's coming together. I'm using that striped paper, so that I really wanted to say good times. Now, that sticker is way too green for this page. I'm going to keep trying to make it work, and it's just not going to look right. That Life is Good die cut, I believe, is from Vicky Boutin. I think it's Vicky Boutin. Yeah, I think it was one of her packets, one of her ephemera packages from her first collection. And this sticker sheet was just from one of the Hip Kit Club kits, probably like February. None of this is new stuff. It's just taken me a while to use it. So I guess I am going to use that yellow. I needed something to break up the blue and the stripe, and this page is going to have a lot of yellow on it. So that's going to be all the pattern paper I use on there, and I keep trying to make that Good Times work, and it's just not going to come together. So eventually I'm going to go back to the sticker sheet and pick something else. I think it says yes or something like that, but it's more yellow than green. Also, one of the Hip Kit Club kits came with these rub-ons. So I am going to cut apart the sheet and start placing them around the page. And I also found these in my stash. They're jelly bean soup. I think they're called, oh no, I can't remember what they're called. But they are a chipboard alphabet. So I had this brand new pack of yellow that I probably had for a few years, so it was time to use that up. And I think I'm going to write KAYAK out because, I'm so great with the titles that's all I could think of to write is kayak because they're in a kayak. So that's what I'm going to end up with there. I wanted to see how that looked. Yeah, I'm going to all uppercase and bean boards. That's what they're called. Jelly bean soup bean board. I know that I have them in navy from a very old Cocoa Daisy kit, I bet. And after a while, I'm going to go look for those because the body of water that they're on is the Long Island Sound, and the place where they were at was Cold Spring Harbor. So CSH for short, I'm going to go find those blue ones, and that's going to be part of my title, CSH Kayak. And here I'm just going to look at those rub-ons and see which ones I want to use. Oh, once I see that flower up there, I know that's it. I'm definitely going to use that one. Once upon a time, I really, really, really loved rub-ons. I used them on every single page. I think I once even bought a QVC kit because it came with colored rub-ons. I'd never seen such a thing. So I think I spent, $40 on a scrapbooking kit just to get the colored rub-ons, and then I probably never even used them because they were so special, too good to use. And then by the time I went to go use them, they weren't good. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to use that little flower there and those three little X's, even though you could make them with a pen. There's something about just having somebody have made them already. I'm going to glue down my papers. And I'm going to pop dot to give it a little dimension, a few different things. I think that heart was off one of those sticker sheets I showed earlier. And I had just looked on my rub-on sheet and just used whatever was in the color scheme that I was working with, which pretty much is red, blue, and yellow. So there, I finally used a different sticker, the yes sticker across. The kids these days, they like to say that with a lot of S's. Yes, like that. So that's why I'm going to put that on my page. Plus, it's the right color. So I'm just going to go around the page and put a bunch of the rub-ons. And I really end up liking the way it came together. I didn't know I was going to do all this when I started. I think that's part of the fun of scrapbooking is that you don't know when you start what's going to happen the whole time at the end. And actually, now that I look at that photo, I think it was from Snapchat because it has a filter across the bottom there that says Super Fun Saturday. And what else am I using? And I also like to cut, if I'm using rub-ons, I don't like to lay the whole sheet on my project because I'm always afraid that some of what I don't want is going to get stuck on something, especially on a photo or whatever. It might just grab onto it. And then it's hard to get off, even though you could probably use just some Scotch tape or whatever. And the sticker, the Amy Tangerine thicker phrases, didn't have any stick left to them. I didn't think they were that old, but you know how it goes with thickers. You always have to reinforce. And just going to stick that down. I think it says something about good times, maybe. Let the good times roll, that's what it says. And now I'm going to need something on the other side of the page because everything ended up being to the right over there. So I'm going to look on my I'm going to use a little bow. See what else I can come up with for the other side. I forget what I use. Nope. Some things weren't the right color. Oh, that's what I'm going to use. So a bunch of stitching, or rub-ons that look like stitching, or just look like pen work, actually. I like those little details. And just going to fix a little bit with the glue. And like I said, I'm going to make my title a little bit longer. So I am going to go look for those navy beanboard letters. And I'm pretty sure I only have lowercase left. And my zig glue is not working because my background had gesso on it. And once you get gesso on it, just that little bit of zig is definitely not going to grab it. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I do it off camera, I'm going to use my liquid Scotch glue. That will, you need like a heavier wet glue to make it stick. And what else did I find? A little something over there. I'm going to like the way that looks. Yeah, so don't be afraid to use some rub-ons. I don't know that I'm actively still buying them, but they did come in that kit, one of the Hip Kit Club kits. So, and I was happy to see them. So sometimes you just have to make yourself use it. So there's the CHS, and there's my finished page. Really happy with the way it came out. Thanks for watching. Bye.